and happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome into the first ever edition of Courtside Chats with AJ McCord. Stoked to have you along with us for this playoff series between the Blazers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I've got some great guests planned for you, give you all the insight you need to know into this match. As you can tell, we're courtside, so we're gonna have a lot of people coming in and out of the shot, but we're just here to have a lot of fun. We're gonna talk to the team first and hear what they have to say about the matchup.
It should be a good matchup. You know, I think they've been very competitive games with Oklahoma City last year and this year. Both teams are very similar, both last year and this year. We swept them last year. They swept us this year. It should be pretty competitive.
We know that we're capable of beating them. You know, each game this season came down to possession here, possession there, and it's going to be a tough series, and I think we got to go out and just be aggressive going into it. Our mentality has to be the aggressor.
All right, that was Damian Lillard saying he has to be the aggressor. We are joined now by Jason Quick of The Athletic. He's covered the Blazers for 20 years, so you could say you know this team pretty well.
A little bit.
Yeah, so there's so many matchups to watch for this series. You've got Damian Lillard versus Russell Westbrook. You've got Steven Adams and Enes Kanter. Which one do you think is going to be the biggest key?
Well, it's hard to pick, but I think everyone's eyes will be on Russ and Dame just because I think that's going to be the most entertainment. They're both so intense and competitive, but the balance of the series could rest in how Enes Kanter is able to defend. That's a big question mark. That's why I think Zach Collins might end up playing a big role in this series. If the Blazers have a lead late, I think Terry Stotts goes to Zach Collins to kind of bring him home.
Not just because he can protect the rim, but also because we saw how he can change a game simply by being aggressive and being that rim protector.
That's what Terry Stotts says. He says the key for him is his energy. If Zach's coming in, getting offensive rebounds, getting block shots, running around, then usually the team feeds off that, and that's what they need from him.
So we were both in New Orleans last year for a pretty painful playoff series against the Pelicans. This team has said all season, that doesn't matter, we've put it behind them, but we know this team. They have internalized this. Damian Lillard in particular has talked a lot about how he wants to take that, learn from it, be better. How do you think that's affected this team?
Look, there's no question that series has shaped this team. I mean, that was a gutting loss. As hard as it was for Rip City, I think it was twice as hard for the players. And I think it was a long summer for them. And I think it helped shape them as they came into training camp. They're a little more hardened. They know a little bit more what to expect when they come into a big game like this. So I think in the back of their mind, it's been there all year, but they've tried to not let it on to people like us.
Yeah, which they've done a pretty good job of. But we know that this series is going to be heated, right? There's a lot of question marks, but we know that. There's been trash talk all the regular season in every single game. But we asked the players this week, how do you think this is going? Do you feel like this is more emotional? Here's what they had to say.
It's weird because me and him, we actually real cool. You know, once we get off the court. When I see her in public, we speak, you know, how the family, how your kids, like. But then it's just something about when you get on the court, and that's what it is. He's one of the top point guards in the league, and so am I. And when you get out there and you know that your team is going to go as you go, he has to outplay me, and I have to outplay him if I want my team to win. So that's what it turns into. But it's off the court, we cool. I know Russ, I know PG. They cool, man, but you know, once you get out there, this is what we do. This is our job. You know, we coming out here to win, and we on opposite sides.
Off the court, we cool. That's what Dame says, right? But we know that on the court, things get really heated. So who do you think has the edge in that emotional aspect of the series?
I think Dame does, because Dame, as we all know, is a cool customer. Russ, the book on him to kind of get the best of him is to agitate him, to get him emotional. He gets a little bit crazy. His game gets a little sideways sometimes. So I think that really sides with Dame if he's able to kind of play his game, which is very calm, cool, collected, and let Russ do what he does.
And I think that's how Zach Collins can also be an impact. If he can get Klay Thompson riled up, I think he can get Russ off his mental game as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think the Blazers are coming into this in a very controlled state. I think they know that all that extra stuff, it doesn't matter in a playoff series. They need to be focused, and that's what they've done. And kind of back to your last question, they've done a good job all year of just focusing on what's in front of them right now, and I think they need to have that same mindset for game one.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited for a great playoff series, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. So we went inside the Blazers locker room. Let's go inside OKC's locker room and hear what they have to say about the matchup.
See, they're a very good team. You know, all the games have been really, really close. You know, one of the games being overtime, games that could have gone either way. So I think when you're playing against a good team, there's a lot of things you have to do well. To your point, you know, rebounding. You know, them at the free throw line, they're a great free throw shooting team. Certainly, you know, the 3-point line with the way they shoot and they move. You know, there's a lot of things, and then you have to obviously play well offensively too. So certainly, you know, the rebounding, 3-point line, those are important ingredients and factors in the game.
And 4 games is out. 4 games is out. It's where it really starts. They're gonna make adjustments. We're gonna make adjustments. It's gonna be a whole new, you know, series against them.
We are joined now by Steve McGeehee. You've covered the Thunder for quite some time, so he joins us from our sister station in Oklahoma City. Thank you for being here. How was your trip out?
It was good. It was a long layover in Denver, but I finally rolled in about 10 o'clock last night.
Okay, and what do you think of our fine city so far?
I love this place. I've been here several times. In fact, my parents had a business trip here in the early 80s, and so we stayed at the Hilton, I believe, downtown for a week, and I walked to then a baseball stadium to watch the Portland Beavers play. Now, of course, it's soccer, so this is one of my favorite cities, and of course, you know, my second favorite team is the Portland Trail Blazers. I fell in love with them back in 1977 with Bill Walton, and then they drafted Darnell Valentine out of Kansas, where I'm from, and then so on and so forth.
Well, that was a good year to fall in love with the Trailblazers,
yes,
wasn't it?
It was. I love that team.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. So we talked a little bit about the key matchups in this series. From Oklahoma City side, what is the matchup they're focused on?
Stopping Damian Lillard and McCollum from hitting all those threes, which they can do at any moment. I think that is so key with Nurkic out, that it's probably going to be won or lost from the 3-point line. And as you know, everyone knows that those 2 guards can light it up. They can light anybody up on any given night. I keep peeking over my shoulder. There's Paul George. He's warming up. Okay, this is the time when Paul George warms up.
So since we just see Paul George warming up, we know that he missed the regular season finale with the Thunder because of a shoulder injury. How is he now? He was listed as day-to-day, but he says he's playing.
Billy said he's a game-time decision. This was 20 minutes ago, but a couple of days ago, Paul George said, I'm going to find a way to play. And it's the playoffs, game 1. He didn't do very well in the playoffs last year against Utah. It was a little passive in the way he played. He needs to be a little more aggressive in this series, but I would be shocked if he doesn't play today. But just kind of watching him warm up, he's going through his normal routine. He's been injured on the right shoulder, been injured on the left shoulder, and that really what stopped him from being probably a top 3 candidate for the MVP, because before the All-Star break, he was on fire, and then he got hurt after the All-Star break and has slowly tapered down.
As everyone in Rip City knows, because he's been averaging about 38 points a game against Portland this season. So what is the key have you seen that teams have done to stop him effectively or slow him down?
I think more so double teaming at times and forcing Russell Westbrook or someone else to shoot the basketball, but I think a lot of his issues with the scoring drop has been the shoulder. I think it's affected his shot. He's not going to say it is, but I think it has, and maybe it's in the back of his mind. So that's key in this series, you know, to get him healthy. I don't know if you can get him 100% healthy in a 7-game series, but he's got to find a way to kind of fight through the pain.
Now, one of the things you and I have talked about and is well noted here in Portland is the heated rivalry between these 2 teams, how it always seems like we get a scuffle, a fight, some West Brick, some clown talk, all that. So the Blazers have said this is just 2 competitive teams going at it. What have the Thunder said?
I think there's a little something between these 2, but then again, I don't think there's a team out there in the NBA that doesn't have some type of issue with Russell Westbrook, mainly Russell, because he is so off the court, philanthropy, nicest guy in the world, will open the door for you and everything, but when it comes to on the court, the opponent, that's the enemy. He's not going to help anybody get up off the floor. He's not going to talk to anybody unless it's trash talking. That's just his style, and it's been that way since he entered the league over 10 years ago. But Russell Westbrook has an issue at times with Damian Lillard, and of course Nurkic, they've had a run-in. So, and then I remember Carmelo Anthony at the basket last year put the elbow on Nurkic, and Carmelo got tossed. So even Carmelo had some issues with the Blazers as well. So it's just the way it is. It's heated. It's going to be the playoffs. I'm sure there's going to be some chippiness on the court tonight.
So one of the things that we've talked a lot about is Steven Adams taking on his old team. Enes Kanter taking on his old team, playing Steven Adams, the guy that he played against for so many years. How do you see that matchup going?
I don't think there's a shot that Steven Adams is going to pull off that Enes Kanter doesn't know. They know each other's best moves because they practiced against each other for 2.5 years. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes and see which tall guy gets into foul trouble. Adams sometimes can pick up 2 early fouls, and that could be an issue for the Thunder. Then you bring in Nerlens Noel, and he gets foul trouble as well. So it'd be fun to watch those two play. They're friends off the court, but they'll have some fun out there tonight, but they're playing to win.
Yeah, everyone is playing to win. Yes. We know that. So we're going to go hear from Damian Lillard one more time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have him along for the entire series. So here's Damian Lillard.
I think this is an opportunity to rise to the occasion. You know, show that sometimes when you struggle and you go through, a hard time, you got to come back even harder, and come back harder, and the next time the opportunity presents itself, you got to be ready for it. And I think I've done everything all the way from that moment that we lost that game to prepare myself to be ready for it this time, and I'm ready to go.
Ready to go, and so are we. We are so close to game time here in Moda Center. The first game in Rip City. Of course, the Blazers have home court advantage for this series, and so we're going to play 2 here in Portland. We're going to head to Oklahoma City, play 2 there, and then 1-1-1 if necessary. So we know this rivalry is going to be a heated one. We're very excited. The game tips off at 12:30 today, and then we're going to have a special edition of Game On at 4 o'clock after the Masters. So be sure to join us on Coin for that. And like I said, we're going to do these courtside chats before every single game of the playoffs. I'm very excited. If you guys have any comments, any questions, feel free to send them my way. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on all of it. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're looking forward to a great game, and we'll see you soon.